This is it. Because now we talked about we have talked about disease. Now we need to talk about, in more detail, about that healing. Because it needs to become practical. You need to be able to do something with it. Yeah? Keep blah 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 talking, and somebody says this and somebody else says something else, and we talk and we talk and we talk. No, it's got to fit into place. All of it's got to fit into place. So, disease. Whatever the outside world, outside this room, calls disease, don't take any notice of it. Because it's not the problem. The problem is what is causing those symptoms, and putting them carefully together in pages and pages and pages with different headings. You know, one is called dementia. When I was trained and started practicing, we had dementia. It was basically called senile dementia. Yeah? But we doctors were so lazy, we just called it dementia. Because everybody knew it was about elderly people. Some were a bit younger than others, but... And then we got Alzheimer's. Oh, what's Alzheimer's then? Well, it's dementia. So it's nothing new then. Oh yes, this is new. Because it happens to younger people. All right. You mean to say a bit like cancer? Because when I started off, cancer in a person under 50, rare. Really rare. The odd exception here, and I'm not saying that it didn't exist, but when we were talking and dealing with cancer, it was with elderly people. And then cancer became a younger people's disease. You mean, so it's the same thing, but younger people. Alzheimer is dementia. So it gets, and then the beauty of the medical profession is that they get a new name, they put a few symptoms together, and then they have a specialist for that. And the treatment, well, we can't actually do anything about it, but here is the treatment you should be following. That's the basic, yeah? I mean, sleep apnea. Yeah? When I started out, I realized that I had been really, really stupid because I should have become an MS expert. Because for all that time, and it's still the same, to be an MS expert, you only need to send them to have certain tests done. Those tests come back with a conclusion, signs of MS, so that's easy if you can read. Yeah, then you have that. And for all that time, it was then and still is now, treatment, none. Well, I want to be an expert like that. It's a machine that tells you that you have a disease, and I don't, as an expert, don't have anything to do with it. You have no expectations whatsoever of me, but you come and see me every 3 months so that I can tell you that you're getting worse. Right. Yeah, I missed it, sadly. Yeah. So, we now know all of that big book with all those diseases in, those diseases are not the problem. It's what is causing those expressions of imbalances. That is the real disease. And there are only two kinds, as we now know. Yeah? And to make it easy on you, expansion diseases are rare amongst humanity, especially in Western Europe. So if you don't feel well, it's because of too much pressure. There's your diagnosis. I don't even need to know why you're not feeling well or what it is that you're not feeling well about. It's because you got too much pressure. It's that simple. So, in those terms, the acute diseases that we come across, inflammations, infections, cramps, diarrhea, vomiting, breathing problems, you know, any of that acute thing is all about an immediate response to try and reduce the pressure. So fasting is giving your digestive system, and that includes, you know, the clean-up glands like pancreas and the gallbladder and so on. Give it a rest. Give your physical body a rest. Give your mind a rest. You get inflammations, infections, great, you know, because the system is doing what it needs to do. All for contraction diseases. Expansion diseases is let that energy flow, because if you try to block it, it will only increase in strength. Yeah? If you try to stop somebody who is, you know, what is it, the battery operated rabbits, pink rabbits, or what is it? If you get, yeah, those bunnies. If you get people like that, don't try and block them. Don't lock them into a room because they go mental. Yeah? Just give them things to do that are useful, that they can use up their energy. When that becomes ineffective, mind you, it's not a wrong response. It's just that it's not enough. Then you, for the chronic state, and chronic, definition of chronic is very simple. It's something that is reoccurring or that is there all the time. So if you get symptoms that are coming back, even if it's months later, just remember it. Yeah? We're not so good at remembering it for ourselves, but mums are very good at remembering for their children and their babies. They know, you know, what recurrent ear infections are, and that the little guy is getting them. Yeah? Mum knows. The doctor doesn't need to know, but mum knows. So, ineffective, that means we need to take some actions. And we need to concentrate now on what are we going to do. Yeah? For contraction diseases, we are now going to do the opposite of what we did here. Opposite from what the system is already doing. Not to oppose it. So it's not to suppress what the system is doing. What you're doing here is an opposite action to wake up and stimulate this living entity, these living tissues, to react to what you're doing. So you're poking it so that there is more life, more energy flowing through it. And flowing through it in this sense. It's stimulating this response by doing the opposite. So, where initially, say for instance, you know, your knee hurts. It's an acute flare-up, it's swollen, it's red, it's inflamed, rest it. Yeah? When that becomes a chronic thing, then you won't have that inflammation sign anymore, as in redness and heat. It may still swell up and it may still be painful, but it's cold. That's a chronic condition. That is your arthritic condition. This is your arthritis crisis or moment. This is a chronic arthritic condition. So now your knee is painful. Now and again it swells up, but there's no inflammation. So what do you do now to get out of this chronic downward spiral that you're in? You start moving it. But it hurts, I know. but it is hurting while you are resting it. So giving it more rest is not the answer. You start to move it. How you move it, not going to give you instructions, because it's the individual who needs to find out. My body, my mind, my system. What do I do? If I can walk on it, I may want to walk. What does walking mean? It may mean walking up and down the kitchen. Or it may mean walking around the garden, or around the block, or going for a 10-mile walk. Whatever it means to you, whatever is movement to you at that moment in time. But you need to move it, stimulate it. It may mean that you cannot properly stand on it. Okay, then go and lie down and move it. Pull up your knee. Move it, without having to carry your weight. You need to find out, but you need to move it. Why? Because you need, in essence, you need an inflammatory process to start in there. You need it to warm up from inside, to expand it. So you're going to irritate it. You can use, we get to that later, you can use other things, but not just in suppression of this. No, you stimulate the system. Wake it up. You're in charge, as in you determine how, when, what exactly it is that you're doing. But if you want to help the healing process, you need to stop trying to make yourself feel comfortable. It's not, a healing process is not about making you feel better. A healing process is to try and achieve a balance that is easily maintained, that doesn't cost you a lot of energy to keep it going. To get to that balance, you may need to climb a mountain, which is tiresome, may hurt you now and again, yeah? But once you get there, it's flat and you can rest. So, once we get into a chronic state, everything we do is actually the opposite from the healing response. To stimulate more healing response out of the system. Yeah? That is the basic premise that we're working on. So on an energetic level, not easy, because the field is changing all the time. So therefore your system, inner system, has to change its balance all the time. And you have to keep that going. And what are the influences? Well, the influences are everywhere. Right? The universe. Solar flares. Major part of influence on our weather cycles. Yeah? Not just something that happens there and we can take beautiful pictures of it. It has an effect. It has an effect on Earth. The Earth atmosphere. Where you live, high up in the mountains, close by the sea. Any local changes. If a whole forest has been taken down. All of that. Small changes, big changes. But everything changes. The plant life, the animals that live in your area, the animals that you live with at home, the plants you live with at home have an influence on your balance. Consider it. It's enormous. All influences. And we don't need to know exactly what effect it has on you. Don't bother with that. Why not? Because once you've figured out what effect a certain plant or an animal or whatever it is has on you, it's past tense. The next time you come across it, you may respond totally differently. Why the hell do you want to know? All you need to know is, how am I feeling at this moment in time, and what am I doing about this? Yeah? Even to the point, you may, in time, you may come to the conclusion that you're allergic to cats. Yeah? So, that's simple. Shoot the damn thing. Yeah? You're cured. Yeah. Are you? One, maybe you can't avoid all cats in the world at every moment in time. So you become breathless every time you see a cat. Or a cat comes in your neighborhood. Have you really solved the problem? Was the cat the problem? Or was your reaction to the cat's present a problem? If it was this latter, you haven't solved the problem by shooting the cat. You still have your problem. It's only that you've removed the trigger. But because of all the influences, you cannot be sure that the trigger will never come back. You have just fooled yourself into thinking you've solved the problem. The other way you could do it is leave the cat in place and watch how you're responding to it. What systems are overreacting, giving you signs of struggling? What can I do about that? Yeah? And so having the cat there and leaving the cat there may help you step by step to get to understand yourself, your inner self a bit better, and find that different balance that is required for you to have an easier life. Oh. Apart from all this is all nature. Yeah, natural influences. But this is a problem. Influence from one person to another. That is a problem. And the main reason for this problem that we have amongst other human beings is the ability to talk. Because words plant ideas that take on their own life inside your head, and so one individual can influence another beyond the natural influences. Yeah? Give you an example. In nature, all those plants, all those animals, they all have survival mechanisms that protect them against danger. Yeah, whatever their main danger is in life. They're very aware of it, and they know exactly what to do when that danger occurs. Yeah? When their cells, we'll talk on how that works, when their cells are not aware of that particular danger, then the plants, the animals, they just relax. What took me quite a while to understand was, you see nature films, and the lions are out hunting, right? They're hunting. The lioness is running after one of the impalas or whatever it is, and she gets one, but the impala manages to get away, and the lioness has spent all her energy. It's enough for today. And then you see the same impala that has just escaped the claws of the lioness about 100 yards further down the field, just grazing. And the lioness is still there, just grazing. They go, run! Run! Why? There's no danger anymore. She's tired. She won't come and get me now. So I just graze. Danger is gone. This is a problem. Because if one human tells you that and convinces you of the fact that you need to be very afraid of a danger that you will never ever see, and you have to weapon yourself against it, you'll be afraid forever, right? And every time you think you've protected yourself, oh, I've taken my vitamin C today, yeah, I'm all right. Until something happens to me, and oh damn, that wasn't enough. Oh, you take something else. You take MSM or M&Ms to protect yourself, right? Oh, maybe I should try that. You'll be afraid forever of a danger that you cannot, by yourself, evaluate. And our lives is filled with that sort of thing. Viral infections, bacterial infections, fungi infections. But not only that, did you know that you could have a gut cancer and not know about it?
Oh.
Shouldn't you be afraid of it? Come and get yourself tested. Yeah? I'll tell you when you are ill. I'm going to tell you that. So you come to me all afraid, you have your test, now you're nearly dying afraid to wait for the result. But the result comes and I, as a specialist, I tell you, you're fine. No sign of any cancer in your gut. Oh, thank God for that. Thank God for that. I'm clear, yes. Come back in 6 months' time to do another test because it can go quickly, you know. Right? This is the problem we've got. Because we're now afraid of things, dangers that we cannot evaluate. There's no way we can evaluate it ourselves. Which means you completely, utterly, continuously living in fear. And your whole system needs to respond to that fear. And don't worry about it, because if you tend to forget about it, turn on your radio and television set, and within 30 seconds, it's there again. The message. Don't forget. You know, there is terror everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's all unseen dangers. But now you live in fear mode continuously. Once that becomes normal, you won't even notice the signs anymore of your own system. You won't notice it anymore because it's normal. That is how we adapt. But in this case, we're adapting to a life of fear for an unseen danger. Okay, but we need to survive. Oh dear, we need to survive. How are we going to do that? With everything changing all the time. Well, nature knows how to survive. Because it's done that for 13.8 billion years. Nothing from inside has ever destroyed it. Why not? Because nature creates everything inside it, so it's never going to allow to be destroyed by its own creation. Nothing from outside has ever destroyed it. Why not? Because it can't get in. It's a separate creation. Right? So nature knows how to respond. The natural world, the living organisms, know how to respond to their outer world. It does it automatically. But it means that it needs to recognize, energetically, it needs to recognize what that outer world is like. If it's an idea, it won't recognize that, because it can't. It won't recognize the virtual world as a virtual world. To them it's real. Yeah, and the virtual world is also the virtual world of words and ideas and concepts. You can believe that bacteria will make you ill, and then there is the belief that we need to kill off all bacteria. Yeah, so we have products to do that, and we need to sterilize everything. And then it turns out that by doing that, we've created super bacteria who are resistant to all that sort of thing. The reason for that is that nature can only deal with what is there. And if you put a lot of disinfectant into the outer world, then that makes it real. So nature adapts to that. Whatever changes are happening, this adaptation, inner adaptation of your living organism's balance, happens spontaneously, automatically, and immediately. Something changes, I respond. I don't have to think about it. It's just as well, because I'm not very good at thinking. No, I get more wrong than I get right. Ask Martine. Yeah, it's very difficult. But in this case, nobody's asking my opinion. It just does it. And it survives. Yeah? Limitations. Yes, everything has got limitations. My system can only work with the energy it's got inside, with the flexibility. In other words, the way that it can change energy from one purpose to another purpose. That is a limitation. We're all limited. Yeah? When certain changes are happening, at one moment in time, we're perfectly capable, we can feel the change, but we're not getting ill. Yeah, we're not getting outside signs, we don't have to stop and rest and not eat and whatever. And at some other point in our lives, similar thing happens, bang! We go down, we're ill, can't function anymore. Why is that? It depends on the availability of energy at that moment in time. How much energy is available for my inner system to shift to where it's needed. Is that enough? Then it does it, and I don't even notice it. If it's short of energy, it will let me know. And I go, oh, I'm tired. I need to sit down. Stop working. Maybe I'll take a day off tomorrow. Right? Hungry? No, I'm not hungry. No, don't want anything. Just go to bed. Right? Because I get the sign and I respond. That also means that maybe there comes a point in our lives when there is no way, no amount of resting, no amount of fasting, no amount of anything that you can muster the energy that is required to get you into a balanced life again. Right? That's the time when the old native Indian took his rug, said goodbye to the tribe, went up the mountain and went, this is enough for me. Yeah, been good, but ciao, let it go. He's not suffering. He just knows. He can't go on. He can't do what is required, so this is going to be the end. Okay, let it be the end. But no suffering. Right? That is why, when all this is done, natural survival is an acute situation. In nature, all living organisms, they survive acute changes, acute situations. There's only one or two outcomes. Either we survive, and if and when we survive, we're back into balance. Just remember that. We're in balance. Life is easy again. Or we die. The end of the road. Can't manage it. So now you have the choice. Either you fight it, in which case you're wasting a lot more energy and you're in conflict all the time, fighting, you're in conflict, or you accept, Native American Indian, say goodbye, and don't even need to leave me food because I'm going to die anyway. You need the food, the children need the food, the dogs need the food. I don't need the food. Let me just, fine. Close my eyes, isn't it lovely? What a beautiful day to die. Say goodbye to the world, done my stint, now it's up to you. Rather than having that conflict. Right. So, it's immediate, it's unconscious, nobody asked my opinion, I don't need to make a decision about it, I just need to let it happen. Right? Here is a thing that maybe it's useful to bear in mind all the time. Our conscious mind is a little child. It doesn't know very much. It has a big mouth and it wants a lot of things. Yeah? The list of Father Christmas is getting longer by the day. I want this and I want that and I want it this way and I don't want that and I wish it could be this way. Conscious mind. Life, your life, the life of every living organism is driven by unconscious mind. It's the unconsciousness that responds to everything and it gets it right. Your conscious mind is in the way because it's logic. It tries to reason with nature. But you can only reason properly if you have all the information. In this case, you need to understand nature properly. All aspects of nature. Nobody understands nature. You cannot predict nature. Really? No, you can't. They can't. The thing that they're predicting for the longest is the weather. Right? It's a simple thing to do. They cannot get it right. Honestly, they can't. A 10-day forecast is worthless. They can tell you more or less what tomorrow might be like. If you are not asking questions with too strict limitations, because then it's a no-go. Tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, 3 days becomes vague. But these same people are telling you what the Earth's atmosphere and what the climate will be like in 100 years' time. Right? You cannot predict nature. The reason is that you don't have the input information into your modeling, your computer models. You don't understand it, so you can't know what the outcome is. Yeah? Okay. It's natural, it's automatic, it just happens. Let's take our lead from that, because the human consciousness, oh my goodness. everything that we know, everything that we believe, everything that we believe we know, and everything that we want. Yeah? We build our reality in our conscious mind on those kind of things. The biggest part is played by beliefs. And we're not aware of it. Why not? Because we grew up that way. Dad told you this is the way it is. Now you believe it. But you don't realize that you believe it. You think that that is the way it is. Groups of people, fishermen believe in this. People that live up high in the mountains, they may have a common belief. That's the way it is. Those beliefs come out of experience, yes. But everything changes all the time. So we should take those beliefs, we should be aware of the fact that it is a belief, and we should allow ourselves the privilege to change it, to question it. So if we come across somebody who goes, do you really believe that? Think again. You know, this one, that one, this and that. And we go, no. Why not sit down and go, maybe I could try it out, experience it myself. Nowadays, our society doesn't want people to do that anymore. Absolutely no way. There's no scientific discussion on anything anymore. Not on infections, not on climate, not on scientific research, on nothing. Yeah? There's not even any discussion on who you are. Apparently, you're not a man, you're not a woman, you're something else. Right? And there is no discussion about that. So they're changing beliefs as they want it, not as nature wants it. So human consciousness is filled with things that are not built on solid nature ground. Their ideas, their beliefs, their theories. In scientific terms, they're theories. Theories are there to be tested. Scientific research is about disproving a theory, not proving it, because you can't prove what is right. You can't prove what is right. Just as you, in any courtroom, you cannot prove your innocence. It's impossible. You cannot prove what is right in scientific terms. Even gravity. Scientists say, this is what gravity is, this is how we measure it, these are the circumstances, this is what it is. But this is only true until somebody proves it wrong. So we can use the model, we can use the theory, but we have to leave it open for discussion. And that is not possible in the human world as we know it now. And that's a big, big problem. Right? So, the disease is the pressures on the energetic level. Right. The two ways of responding to that. One is a natural one. The other one comes from us. But they don't always match. No, they don't. And the reason for that is simple. Because nature knows. Why? Because it's my creation. I built the damn thing out of the Lego blocks, so I know how many Lego blocks that are in there. I know which ones that are in there and in which place they are in. So I know the structure of this, I know how it functions. Unfortunately, humans don't. They only think that they know. Just like a 6-year-old think that he knows how the household runs. Yeah? Okay. How can we improve on this? What is it that you need to know in order for you to interfere in a much more constructive way? Well, here is how nature does it. Every cell is a living organism. Every cell has got 7 systems in it. Every of those 7 systems is made up out of the same 7 basic tissues. Right. On the outer membrane of the cells, so directed outwardly, are millions of little antennae. And literally an antennae, picking up frequencies. Like radio antennae, picking up frequencies. It's simple, right? Now, these antennae are, or you could say they're sensory organs, picking up information from the outside. That's all they're doing. Picking up information from the outside. Now, here is the thing. Every single one of those antennae is listening out for one very specific frequency. All the rest is over their heads. If that frequency is present in the outside environment, this one antennae gets stimulated, gets triggered. This stimulation sends an electrical impulse through the membrane into the cell. And the cell responds. What does the cell do? It holds a meeting. Everybody can say what they think, what they believe, what they think is the best solution. And then the cell government decides how they're going to respond to that. No. This message comes inside the cell, and the cell does the same thing over and over and over again. Immediately. How does it know what to do? It's been programmed that way. Programmed either by long-term survival, as in humanity needs to know these kind of things, needs to be aware of these dangers. If these dangers are there, then the whole system needs to respond to that, and these cell groups need to tighten the muscles, get more tension in the muscles. These need to make my brain more alert, and so on and so forth. Each cell is programmed with that particular response, which fits into a whole framework of responses all across the system. A lot of other of these responses are related to local experiences. Yeah, people that live nearby the sea or way up in the mountain have different reaction patterns to different situations. Similarly, some families have totally different reactions and responses to certain information, certain situations in their outside world than others. So there's family differences going back generations from what they've learned. Like, you know, in a village something may happen, but that has a different effect on the family of the doctor than it may have on the family of the farmer, or the family of the brewer, or the hairdresser. So, different reaction patterns. But whatever it is, it's fixed into the cell makeup. That's what happens. That's how they're made. Right? Bell gets rung, signal inside, start to work, without thinking, do that job. Fine. Done. That's how it works. One frequency each. Yeah? And a fixed response when it gets stimulated. Good. So there's a constant looking out for certain frequencies, for certain situations, so that there could be an immediate and appropriate response. Appropriate as in, this is what we've learned, right? Whether we're farmers and live by the sea, or whatever, all that together, this is how we do it. And this is particularly how I do it. That's how my system responds. Okay, one particular frequency, there's no need of judgment. When the frequency is there, the response is there. When the frequency is terminated, the response terminates. Immediately. Bum, 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 done. Finished. Yeah? So, in real terms, when I come across a danger that I'm pre-programmed to respond to in a particular way, when I notice that danger, my whole system responds. In order for me to have the best chance, pre-programmed chance, to survive. If I don't notice, if I don't get any signs of that danger, I sleep. Why eat? I'm happy. Do I need to be anxious? No. What for? No, nothing there. If nothing is there, then why am I winding myself up for? It's not there, so I don't need to respond. I don't need to arm myself against the danger that is not there. These cells don't do that. My system, my natural system, doesn't do that. Yeah? Very important. Now, so the planning is already done, is written into, as a result of the experiences, there's a way, a planning, a decision that's been made, not by you, but before you came into this life, that this was the best way to respond. And as a baby, a young person, you are trained those responses. Yeah? You need to be afraid of dogs. Never touch a dog, because they are unreliable. Okay. Okay. Now as a 15, 16-year-old, I don't come near any dogs. Yeah? And when there's a dog in my neighborhood, I get alert. Now watch the dog. And my friend, who is also 15, 16, he comes from a totally different family. He walks past that dog, and he has spent no energy doing so whatsoever, because to him that dog is no threat whatsoever. That's the difference, right? So the planning is just something that I've taken on from before. Right. So, if you have to be alert, it's one thing to have your antennae out. That's fine. It doesn't cost you any energy. It's worrying about your antennae and what they're picking up. That it's costing you energy all the time. Yeah? So, plants, animals, they just rely on their antennae. We come from a human society that says, no. Don't wait until you get any signs, because it's too late then. You'll be dead, half dead by then. I'll tell you. You don't know, but I know. That's not how nature works. Because nature doesn't want to be stressed all the time. It only responds to what is there. Frequency not in my environment, cells don't do anything. Simple as that, right? So the cell's response is always in reaction to the environment. The frequency has to be present before that cell does anything. So either the frequency is there because it's actually in the outer environment, Or the frequency is there because my conscious mind is projecting it out there. Right? And saying, oh, this is full of bacteria. Oh, I'm going to get ill. And now I've created the conditions in which my cells need to respond. Right? Okay. So, that means, the next stage is the survival and your permanent antennae. Humans have this different thing, different from the rest of creation. People like to call it a free will. Yeah? We can imagine things, project them out into our environment, in our surroundings. We imagine things. And we have, apart from the permanent antennae for our survival, that has been not deployed, it's been retracted, folded inside the membrane, is not capable of picking up any signals. If the antenna doesn't pick up any signals, there is no communication with the inside of the cell, so therefore there's no reaction to the cell. Cell doesn't respond because it doesn't get the trigger, and the trigger doesn't get to the cell because the antenna is not working. Right? And it's simple. It's simple. Why? When my wife says to me, "But I told you so," I said, "No, you didn't." "Yes, I did." And luckily for her, she knows exactly what she said, when she said it, where I was, where she was, you know, and I can follow all that. But I don't remember you saying that. And I'm not doing it to protect myself. Why am I saying that she didn't say that to me? Because she may have said it, but I never heard it. I may have been stood 3 feet away. So it's not about the sound didn't reach my ears. Nope, it did. But I wasn't listening. Why? I was watching football. I wasn't listening to you. I didn't hear it. What is that? Antennae out? No, antennae in. You talk. Oh, I see. But I don't hear. It happens all the time. Why? Because there are too many impulses present in the outside world for us to deal with at any given moment in time. No animal does it either. They just deal with their survival. We have the extra bits, but we can't do all of it. So we make choices. Yeah? Every choice that you make is choice between antennae out, other antennae in. Because you can't have them all out. You'll go mad. There's so much information, these cells need to respond. That's the thing. When the information comes in, the cell needs to respond. Needs to do something. So whoa, 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 calm down, calm down. One antenna at a time. Yeah? Don't all talk together, one at a time. So we have antennae that we can use or not use. That's very important. So when you pay attention, ding, information comes in, cells, tissues, systems respond. Right? You don't pay attention. If the information, that's another thing, if the information doesn't actually come in, there's no point in you trying to recall it afterwards, remember it. If it doesn't come in, there is no record of it. Yeah? So you can't remember it. So it never happened. You're right. To you, it never happened. It was there, but it never happened. Do you know what that means? That means that if I walk into a poisonous environment, whether you want to call it that a 5G, or you want to call that poisonous gas in the room, or you want to call that a poisonous household where two adults are nearly killing each other, whatever, poisonous environment. If I walk into that poisonous environment, right, really bad for your health. You could die from that. Nope. If I don't give a shit, if I don't put my antennae out, if I don't let that poisonous information reach my cells, they don't have to respond. Nothing happens inside my balance, inside my system, the balance of my system. Nothing happens. Why? Because you're not listening. If I honestly don't hear my wife saying things to me, I certainly don't hear or take note of poisonous gas or whatever it is. I'm not affected by it. Brackets. There are limitations. Back to, we're all limited in our scope, yeah? If whatever is in the outside world is so strong that it goes beyond my resonant frequency, it blows me apart, whether my little antennae is there or not. But for a large part, I can choose which information I allow in and which I'm going, don't want to know. And don't want to know is not just, I don't want to know. You're saying, what? Oh. No. Don't want to know is, I wasn't there. I didn't hear it. I didn't see it. Did it? Really? I don't know. I really don't care. I don't let the information in. So that's an important one because it can save us a lot of trouble. Right? Antennae, one frequency or one type of information. When the antenna is out, gets stimulated, creates a response. When the antenna is not out, that information doesn't reach your cell, therefore the cell doesn't need to respond, and it won't affect you. These responses are predetermined, right? It's what we've learned. It's what we've become afraid of, because most of the information via the antennae that are picked up from the outside world is about our survival, about our comfort and our survival. Yeah? Something that affects us. And so the more things that you think, that you believe is affecting you, the more antennae you put out and the more afraid you become. Whether it's from invisible creatures that are going to make you ill, to invisible signals that are going to make you ill, to whatever invisible aliens that are going to take over the world. You know, carry on. The more attention you give it, the more antennae that you put out there, the more information comes in and the more yourselves need to respond. And it's all about fear. Because it's about your survival. While if you don't believe that your survival is in jeopardy, you can relax. There may be something big around the corner. You're not worried about it. If it happens, we'll see then. If it doesn't happen, I'm happy. I'm not worried about it. So, they get predetermined. All of these things have something to do, in some way related to our survival and our comfort. Right? And it is what the consensus is, you could say it that way, what the consensus is of the most appropriate response. Yeah? What will keep us alive and what will keep us happy. But whatever responses are predetermined or put into that cell, that is how we as baby, small child, grow up and learn to defend ourselves. But circumstances change. Everything changes all the time. You need to look for new balances. And gradually, you may come across the realization that how you are responding, what your cells are doing in response to the information is no longer as appropriate as it may have seemed when you were 3. That's important. Yeah? So, I have a natural response, and we have what we believe. Natural response is appropriate as it was. A lot of the survival things don't change within one generation. We may see the natural world around a group of people, a tribe if you like, change over a few hundred years or whatever, and then gradually their responses change. Modern times has been a bit different in so far that things have changed very quickly. That's why we talk about the concrete jungle or the city jungle. Yeah? And when you live outside the city, or far away from the city and hardly ever get to a city, then the whole concept of traffic lights become a bit frightening. Because you're not really aware of where they all are. If you're passing by a certain spot every day, you know. You know, the motorways that I do, I know exactly where the traffic cameras are located. Yeah? I almost instantly start slowing down. That doesn't mean to say that I was driving too fast, but I slowed down. So, in the jungle, the concrete jungle, the human jungle, we have had to create a lot more antennas and different responses than in our natural world. That is one example of how your environment can change, and you have to adapt to that. But more important than that is the belief, the idea of being in danger when there is no way that your natural system can evaluate that. That makes it very difficult. So, how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to rectify it? Once we, well, first have to see how we know. Once we know that our responses are no longer the most appropriate. It's a 3-step healing process. First step is that obviously you need to become aware. Yeah? You need to observe yourself, and you need to be able to say to yourself, wait a minute, I'm getting angry in these sort of situations all the time. Every time I get angry. It never gets me anywhere. I feel miserable. The rest of the world just get on with life as before. Don't take any notice of me being miserable. I need to change it. Not good for me. I get headaches, you know, my digestive system stops working, whatever it is. So first thing is, notice that certain responses are no longer appropriate. Then you need to start doing something about it. 3-step program. And it needs to be in these steps. Don't force yourself. Give yourself time. First of all, The whole thing starts with a trigger in the outside world. Yeah? If that frequency, that trigger is there, bing, red light, signal inside the cell, activity, I'm angry, frustrated, disappointed, you know, whatever it is. First movement that you can do is have a look, can you change your outer environment? Can you change it for the better? I.e., the trigger is less likely to be present if I change my outer environment. Could be anything, right? It could be, I don't function very well when it's cold, right? But my parents moved to Norway because they like it. I don't. My sister does, but I don't. So, could I move to Spain? That would help. I think that would help. Okay. If I can move to Spain, then that may, at least for a time, calm things down. And the trigger is not there all the time. So, yeah, this works better for me. It may not be the end of it. Don't forget, things change all the time. So it's never the end game. Yeah, it continues all the time. But it may solve the problem. Yeah, it may be that if I chuck this job in and I go and find a different work situation, then the problem will go away. It may be. It may not, but it may be. Could have similar reasoning about my husband. You know, chuck this one in, get a new model. That may solve the problem. It may do, it may not. So change your environment. Yeah? Or have a look at it. You may come to the conclusion that it's not a viable option, or that the problem lies a lot deeper and that you need to go to the next step. That's fine. What is that next step? Well, if I'm not going to change my environment, outer environment, let's look at changing my inner environment. Or at least the effect that the whole process of frequency present, trigger the antennae, get the response, the activity in the cell. Have a look at, can I change the effect that comes out of that process? What do I mean by that? Right. Get the example of, in these kind of situations, I always get angry. And I'm the only one who suffers for that. Right? I don't want to be angry anymore. Okay? Just remember, if you're opposing something, you'll give that power. So if you tell yourself, I'm not allowed to be angry anymore. Right? No. Don't be angry. You're not allowed to be angry. Angry is bad. Angry is bad. Don't be angry. I'm not going to be angry anymore. And inside your cell goes, you just told me that this is what I need to do. Now you're making it difficult for me, so I'm going to work harder. You're going to get more angry. And part of that more anger is because you damn well can't stop it. And that makes me angry too. No. What this is about is, I recognize that I'm getting angry. And I send the message via my consciousness. I send the message to this whole inner system saying, I don't like it. I don't want it. I know it's there. I feel angry. But I don't really want you to do this. I don't need this. So the feeling of anger is there. You leave it there, you don't do anything with it, but you don't act upon it. Right? So the result of your anger, which would lead to, where is the axe? I'm going to kill him. You forget that. And you go, I feel angry, but I don't want to feel angry. So, don't do this to me. It will take time, but if you consistently keep repeating that, you're telling your unconsciousness that they've done a job that is no longer appropriate. So you're not doing anything with that anymore, you're not acting upon it. Eventually your system will get tired of doing the job, doing the work, and you not appreciating it, not doing anything with it. So it will start diminishing, creating that anger. And if there's less pressure on the anger, if there's less pressure on those feelings, that you keep telling your system, I don't need this. I don't need to be angry. Once your system is not creating the anger to the same degree, you create space for the third step, and that is to change that inner pattern, that predetermined action inside your cells, because then you have the choice. You can then say not only to your system, I don't want to be angry. You can then say to your system, next time this happens, make me laugh. Make me happy. Make me just laugh. Your system will start to then accept, to rewrite the predetermined action. When there's a lot of pressure on that system, your conscious mind doesn't have the power to do that rewriting. Don't forget, this is a survival mechanism. Your system is not going to give up a survival mechanism if you keep using it. So first you say to it, I don't want it. Yeah, but what do we do then? Nothing. Nothing. Just sit there, feel angry, feel frustrated, feel whatever it is. Don't do anything, not in your mind, not in physical reality. Just wait. And gradually, you feel that there's less pressure on your thinking brain and the words and thoughts that shoot through your brain. And then you go, maybe I could laugh about it. Maybe I could just, really it is ridiculous, isn't it? Just because that happens there, I need to feel angry. It's ridiculous. Just laughable. Frankly, your system will break. Once you get to this stage, and you have rewritten, then the funny thing is that whenever that trigger is there, you'll laugh. You'll have a smile on your face, and you go, oh, Jesus, look at that. So what? No more anger. Never. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to work at it. Once you've done this and you've reached this point, it has been rewritten. And that's the end of it. You then always get your new response. Yeah? So, that is, what is important is that we observe. Look at the signs you're getting. Look at the responses. Look at the effects of things. Don't interfere with the process, because your conscious mind has not the power to do so. But by observing the effects and selecting the effects that you no longer want, and you keep constantly throwing them in the bin. Don't get angry about this work, you just keep doing it. And you select the ones that you want, that you feel happy about. That's the way you rewrite your inner processes. But it starts, you continuously have to observe the effects that you're getting. Yeah? Nature will show you how it works for you. And that's important. Okay. So, the imbalance that you're struggling with is a result of how your system responds to the environment. So if you have signs of being out of balance, i.e. disease, you're ill, is because of how your system responds to the triggers in the outside world. It's not because they're there. Because if that was the case, then everybody, literally everybody who came in contact with that same environment should have the same illness, the same expression of imbalance. Then that particular situation is responsible. But that never happens. We didn't even manage it with an atom bomb. We didn't. There were people in that town at that moment when the bomb dropped and exploded that lived the rest of their lives, never got any cancer, never got any radiation sickness. I'm not saying there were many. The fact that there were people actually in there survived the blast and the after effects without illness. Why? Those are the people. Those are the examples that I want to follow. I don't want to know why all the others died, because that's not the road I want to go. I want to live. How did they do that? Because they were very young. And they lost parents and family and everything else. Somehow, nope. But you're going to get ill from radiation. Pardon? Didn't hear you. Message didn't get to them. People in Chernobyl that refused to leave after the blown-out still live there. Geiger teller. People still live there. They grow their vegetables, they eat their vegetables, they drink the water. They're getting ill? Nope. 78 years of age. Still live there. Why are you still here? Where else would I go? This is my only home. But it's dangerous for you here. It is. I've got my garden and the goat gives me milk. What more do I want? I'm happy here. It's fine. Right? No camera crews, no nothing. These people don't have any problems. Right? So, it's important to realize that it's your response. And if you change your response, you get a different effect. It may take some work doing, it may not all be easy, but that is the way to go. That is how you change things from being a problem to not being a problem. So, put it simply, right? When we're in a chronic situation, you need to do something. Really you need. If you want to heal, something needs to change. Inside you. Something needs to change. If you don't, it all stays the same, which means you're just repeating the same circles and you get the same results. Whether you pray or you don't. Okay? Whether you burn candles or you don't. If you don't change, nothing changes. The same patterns will repeat itself. Right? So you do need to do something. And whatever it is that you're doing, you're putting your energy to, is either, because you're always using up energy. When things are out of balance, you're losing energy. You have the choice. Either you put that energy into creating the changes away from the cause so that the cause no longer produces that kind of effect, or you put the energy into trying to maintain, to deal with the disease, with the imbalance. So, everything is about increased pressure. Yeah? And conflicts. That's the thing. We have this illusion that life needs to be peaceful, as in never any conflicts. It's rubbish. Because if there's never any conflict, you can never learn anything. You would not evolve. You need conflicts, but you need to know how to deal with it so that you can learn things that are important to you, instead of being told what is important. So high pressure balances, yeah? We're back to the contraction diseases. Okay, let's make this a bit more concrete even, yeah? So the healing is to expand the tissues, because the contraction is causing the problem. You do that by putting heat on the tissues. Warm it up and it will expand. Don't forget, the tissues expand, they take up more space, they may put pressure on nearby nerve endings, so the expansion may cause more pain and discomfort. But if you know that, and it's tolerable, you can live with that, that's the way to do it. If that becomes too painful, you can cool it down, and it contracts again. The other thing you can do, because you want the tissues themselves need to do the healing, so you want to get a response from the tissues. By putting heat on it, it expands. If you follow that by cold, it contracts, right? Then you put heat on it, it expands again. Put cold on it, it contracts again. Do you know what that does? Your system gets totally out of sync. It doesn't know what's coming next. It goes, what do you want me to do? Expand? Contract? Expand? So what actually happens is, after a few rotations, is that the system will expand more than compared with when you're only putting heat on it. And it will contract more when you put ice on it, more than when you just put ice on it. Because it is trying to get away from you. It wants you to stop. It's confusing, right? So it goes, go away, go away, go away, go away. And then you stop. And what have you got now? Now you've got a system that is used to having more room to expand. And it will expand a lot easier that way. It's a similar way by wherever it hurts, your physical body, your muscles, your joints, your skin, wherever it hurts, it's mainly because of contraction. Yeah? If you pressurize, literally pressurize that area, and then let go, it expands more than when you put heat on it or rub it or whatever. Pressurizing the deeper tissues elicits a response that is far greater than you can by trying to loosen the tissues up. So by compacting it even more. And instead of what the medical profession tells you, you can put pressure, no therapist, you can put pressure on any part of your body without damaging you. Try it. Your eyeballs, no matter, just press on it. If it hurts, if you feel swollen, just press on it. Your ears, wherever, it doesn't matter. Your throat, all the weak spots. You can never damage it. Why? Because you can't kill yourself that way. Your system won't allow you to. Your system is only focused on survival. Yeah? want to kill yourself? Here's a simple way. And it's very effective. Stop breathing. If you don't breathe for 5 minutes, you'll be dead. Simple as that. What problem? Can't do it. It's impossible. Yeah? Why? Because your system overrides what you want to do. It's the same with the pressure. You put pressure on it and you go, whoa, that hurts. Just keep your finger there. Just keep that. And eventually, pain will ease away. Where it hurts the most is where there is the most contraction, where the pressure, inside pressure, is the highest. Those are the places that need the most pressure, extra pressure from outside, in order to get that inner response of expansion. Yeah, so we do the opposite in order to wake up those tissues. That means you cause pain for yourself, discomfort for yourself. Do the same thing with if you're literally, when you're standing, you're out of balance, yeah? You need to rebalance yourself, get yourself back into position, and then you go, this doesn't feel natural. That's the position you want to be in. Why? Because what feels natural is how it used to be. And you look in the mirror and you go, no, this is not right. No, not right. Got to stand up straight. Okay, stand up straight. Oh my God, that hurts. Oh. Out of your comfort zone. You need to, in a sense, you need to cause yourself pain, but reasonably. It's got to link in with where the problem lies. Yeah? And you want to stimulate your system into opening up to a new balance, whether that is literally a new position, balanced position, or a new internal balance. Okay. So, that is why we can have both. With the contraction diseases, initial responses increase the temperature of the tissues, they will open up. But at the same time, we have a resistance. It hurts, so we're holding it still. We're not wanting to use it, we're holding it still. Initially, that will allow your system to rest. But we can also, the increased pressure, as we just said, can also be used. And it's easy because both have got limitations. Yeah? Your inflammation reaction, spontaneous inflammation reaction, which is a healing process, will only go so far, and then it will stop. It will disappear by itself, whether it's healed or not. It's limited. Your holding it and not wanting to move it and not wanting to do anything to it is limited too. This limitation is the end of your acute diseases, and it moves on to chronic diseases. The symptoms, signs repeat themselves and become more obvious. Yeah? And that is when we need to increase that pressure, and where possibly we want to decrease the temperature of the tissue. So use hot and cold, and use more pressure, and then you leave it for a few hours, and then you go and press again. And so it's about stimulating, waking up that inner system. Okay, so you increase the pressure, then it gives an internal reaction to what you're doing, which is opposite to what you're doing, which is an expansion reaction. And that helps the healing. So both can help. Both can help. Putting heat on it and putting cold on it. It has a different effect. The heat opens it up immediately. The cold stimulates, triggers an opening up as a result, as a reaction to the cold, to the extra contraction that you do. With the pressure, if you rub it, you don't be gentle and you just squeeze it a bit and you handle it a bit and you massage it a bit, you try to loosen the tissues that are too compact. Or you just put more pressure on it and then let go, and you keep doing that, stimulating that system to respond to the extra pressure that you're putting on. So you can use both, but you need to know what you're doing. Yeah? And it's not because one causes more pain than the other that it's bad. You're going through a reconstructive process. So allow your system to reconstruct. Yeah? So we've got heat, we've got cold, we've got less pressure, and we've got more pressure. Can all be used. Yep. So chronic disease is that more permanent mismatch. Before the structure falls down or starts to crumble, the function has already been disturbed for a long time. Yeah? So when we start off with signs of chronic disease, it's no good you saying, oh, but I might have a heart attack, or I might get rheumatoid arthritis, or yeah, anything that breaks down my tissues. That is much further down the lane. Cancer is right at the end. You don't need to have cancer if you keep your system in balance, if you bring it back to balance all the time. So you need to work on that. Not be afraid of the structure might crumble. Look at the function. Put the function back. The function is the first thing that goes, and that lets you know, I'm struggling. Help me! Yeah, please do. Okay, then quickly, if we put it in not material things, it's about what you believe to be right. It's about your convictions in life. Any statement you make in that direction, have a look at it. Listen to yourself. And realize it's okay to have convictions and beliefs. Yeah? And they don't need to be in line with everybody else's beliefs and convictions. But do know that it is from those convictions that you respond to the world. So if your response is causing you harm, then maybe it is worthwhile for you to look at your beliefs and your convictions and to change them according to what your system tells you is wrong. Yeah, so habits, fears we talked a lot about. It's a big thing. Yeah, the insecurities. So in essence, where is your comfort zone? If you're in trouble, if you're out of balance, then the last thing you need to do is to try and get back into your comfort zone. Because that is where you came from. That is where it all went wrong. You need to get out of your comfort zone. So you need to start doing things you think are dangerous. You need to go and do things that you think are stupid. Anything. Right? Obviously, the idea is not to do crazy things so that you can hurt other people, yeah, or disrupt their lives, but for you. Yeah? And it can be little things. Or you can start with little things, right? You have one particular method of folding the sheets. Has to be that way, otherwise it's not good. Because it doesn't look tidy to you then. It has to be that way. Right? If your life is out of balance, it's not going well, this is the time to try something. Fold them differently. Oh my God. Oh my God. The whole wardrobe will look so messy. Try it. Try it. Yeah? And it's stupid things. It really is, but it's the awareness of, hey, I can do this differently as well. Right? We have routines. Start looking at it, you find them. I know there's one particular way I always shave myself. First this bit, then that bit, that's always the same. Right? Why would I do it differently? If I'm gonna do it differently, I need to put a lot more attention to it. I need to make sure that I'm consciously, oh no, don't go there now, because that's what you normally do. Go somewhere else. So I need to make those decisions. What benefit is that? The benefit is that I become aware that I'm not aware of what I'm doing. Yeah? It's the same with my words. Always say this. Always make remarks like that. Listen. Have I heard myself? Let's try and say this in a different way now. Or not say it at all. I don't feel well about that. Try it. Right? Step out of your comfort zone and try and step out of your routines so that you become conscious of the fact that you're doing things without thinking. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that when that routine, your routine life, gets into trouble, it is much easier to step out of it when you're already used to looking at your life and going, oh, but I could do this differently. It's not a problem. I just wasn't aware that it became a problem. So changing your routines just out of habit. Change your routines out of habit. Yeah, right, yeah. Make it a habit to change your habits. Yeah? Just as an exercise, because it will help you with that mindset. And that's very important. Okay. So, here is what I want to give with you. People say to me, how do you know? We need to make decisions, right? And nature is a sort of intuition. It knows it and it lets you know from inside, but at the same time I've got my head telling me how I need to do it. So how can I differentiate between what comes from my head and what comes from my gut, if you like? Gut feeling and head. Here is a way of doing it. When you've got a problem or you need to make a decision, right? You've got two ways. There are reasons why you should do something, and there are reasons against it. Reasons for your action or your decision, and reason against your decision. Sit down and write those two lists. Yeah? Whatever. Be honest with yourself and make those lists. Have a look. If the longest list is the one that says, do it, right? Burn that list and don't do it. If the longest list is, don't do it, it's bad for you, burn the list and do it. Do the opposite, and the reason is very simple. When I ask you to write down a list why you should or why you shouldn't, this is your logic. This is your thinking brain, part of your brain, that is filling in those lists and giving you the reasons. You are reasoning with yourself. It's nothing to do with your gut. Your gut doesn't give you any reasons. Your gut just goes, do it! Now! What are you waiting for? Right? You go, don't know. Mum says it's a bad idea. My doctor thinks I'm going to die. Yeah? Do the opposite from what your logic mind tells you. This is one way of finding out, right? And making that choice. Okay, I'm going to add this last bit just to show you that there is another layer to it, right? We've got our 7 different areas of life. Which are the pressures? Okay? Well, I've said before, each of those 7 have got a different meaning. There's different information in it. This is what it's more or less about. One, what we then call frequency. One is about the shape, the group out of which you come, the shape you belong to. Yeah? This is your initial bit, where you are born into, if you like. It moves, gets compacted to 4, which is about the balance between your inside and your outside. So what you give to yourself and what you give to the outside world. 6 is about your consciousness. How aware am I of my surroundings and my inner life? 2 is about mobility, the energy. How much energy have I got and where do I spend it? And particularly, the development of 2 is about moving away from the group that I've come into this life into, and moving away from their concepts and their way of doing it. So in other words, changing your learned behavior, becoming your own person. That is the development of 2. 5 is communication. It's not just about words. It's about what you radiate. It's about, how you stand, your posture, all of that. The nervous system, the nerves is about knowledge, facts, logic. Yeah? And the last, the seed, expresses your personal power. Those are the energies and the meanings of those. So it could well be that you recognize that your problem is an imbalance in just one of those, and you could pinpoint it down. And then you could work on that particular issue. Like, for instance, moving away from my family's habits and routines and their belief system is becoming a bit difficult for me. So frequency 2 is what you then need to work on, and that will express itself, particularly frequency 2, in mobility, in the mobility system. Just to give you an impression of how you can develop this into more detail. Yeah? Change the pressures of life, change the pressures that you allow into your life. Have a look at these antennae. What information do you want to allow inside your life? And change the responses you've got to those pressures. Alright? So we step away from worry and we go in trust. Gut feeling. Jump. Do it. Right? That's what it is. That's what your health is. Under your own control. Okay. Just a word on these. You've got a little bit of information. I want to say that the Quantix website is online. All the information, all the articles are there. The one thing we're still working on, because we want to create a membership for people to actually join as a way of living. It's a way to learn to live under nature, with nature's laws, and to learn more about that. That membership, the way to organize that, we have some technical problems and that is not going very well at the moment. But I'm hoping that in the next couple of weeks that will be cleared up, and then if you're interested, then leave your, for the ones who haven't signed up for the information, for the notifications from me, if you haven't signed up yet, then see Martine and leave your email address here. So I will send out notifications when the possibility of becoming a member of the Quantix community becomes available. Yeah, but you can have a look at the website and see what I'm talking about and what the information is that is on that website. And that's it. You change yourself.
Can you speak about the breath and how the breath mobilizes your attention, and especially when you're using pressure on pain? Like bringing the breath to the pressure that you're applying.
Yeah, you're not actually bringing the breath to the pressure, you're bringing your attention and therefore the energy to the pressure. Right? The only thing that you've got to watch out for is that you're not concentrating on the pressure in a sense that you want it to go away. Don't do that. Because if you say, I need to make this better, then what you're actually saying is, this is wrong.
Yes.
There's something wrong with me. Don't do that. You can direct your attention in a certain direction, and that's it. Leave it. Don't attach an outcome to it. Yeah? If you direct your attention to a pain point, and you feel that pain increasing, it's fine. Sit with it. Keep directing your attention to it. Let it flow. Don't walk away from discomfort. If you're in a healing process, it's going to hurt. Right? Because you need to crawl back up to a plateau where it's easier to live. Yeah? We would like to, if it's okay, to finish with a poem.
Sorry, Patrick, just going back to the conversation we had in the hallway, in your opinion, how beneficial do you think, and how long do you think you need to fast?
Fasting?
Yeah, in order for your body to recover.
Just a quick one, yeah? Modern words and concept apparently, intermittent fasting, yeah? Not eating for 6 hours is not fasting. I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night and get up at 10 o'clock in the morning. I fasted for 12 hours. Yay! Yeah? Doesn't do anything to my system. Intermittent fasting exists. But what they traditionally mean by that is that 1 day a week, for instance, 2 days a week, you're not eating. That's intermittent fasting. Every week you do that, right? So that's one thing. Fasting is when you not eat for a day or 2 days or 3 days, or in other words, you give your digestive system a complete rest. Nothing. For a while, so that it can direct the energy to other places. Not eating or for 6 or 12 or 18 or whatever hours a day is a good living routine. Because it's a bad living routine to have to eat 3 meals a day. That's a commercial thing, right? Eat 1 meal a day, or if you want to, 2 meals a day, or whatever. So those are good living choices that you make. If you want to call it intermittent fasting, then I don't care what people call things, right? But the fasting with the idea of saving energy out of your digestive system that then your nature can use elsewhere, your nature needs to be safe and needs to know that in the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, there's no food coming in. So when you put people on a longer fast, very often you see that the process of redirecting energy only starts after 48, sometimes 3, I've seen it only starting after 5 days. That then, only then, you could see the effects of the energy being used somewhere else. But fasting is basically giving a system a complete rest, which fits in with any kind of healing process. Yeah? Can we have a poem to finish with, please?
Firstly, can I say thank you for Rob for pulling all this together. If we could show our appreciation. And I think we all agree, Patrick, that's been a very, very interesting day. So thank you for reframing health for us.
Thank you.
So this is a little poem that I think ties in as we finish the day. It's called Sacred Lover. There is a deep need to appreciate how to learn to let go, to loosen reliance on thinking and begin again to feel instead. Yet even when we've learned to habitually take as much notice of our heart as our head, external events can even then be so prolonged and intense that you may again descend into the clutches of an anxious mind, seemingly spent. Remember, you are both magician and your very own physician, and that the unknown is your forever home. Know that you can recover. Find time to rest and explore. Listen to your own music. Be your own sacred lover, and you will discover still more.
Thank you.